Hi, so my name is Kyle. This channel is called Let's Have a Pint. I wanted to choose a name that didn't necessarily. Artemis. He is 10 weeks old. He's learning not to go on the table. The others know, they kind of go anyways. Anyways, I wanted to choose a name that didn't specifically say beer reviews. I wanted to give myself wiggle room for other things eventually. Uh, and I just thought that was a great name. Plus, I love the word pint because we don't really say it much here in America. And when we do, it's wrong. Like what I'm going to be drinking here, not a pint. I wish it was. I'd love to drink a pint of it. But we don't actually do pints for the most part. There are some breweries that do. Anyways, uh, this is really just an introduction video. Uh, However, I'm going to kind of review Sequential, but this is mostly just as an introduction to say hi and for you to learn things about me beer-wise, and maybe some other things if I decide to tell you other things. Uh, Anyways, I first got into craft beer 10 years ago, very nearly almost. Uh, I drank Bud Light for only about 2 weeks. Didn't really care for it, uh, but it was a friend of mine and myself who were kind of trying beers in his parents' basement. Uh, and for 2 weeks, it was mostly Bud Light. You know, we'd work out because his father had a workout set in the basement, and then we'd have beer afterwards. Not much, never much. Uh, and then just a couple of weeks in, there was Samuel Adams Boston Lager sitting in the fridge. And so we tried it, loved it. At that point, he started requesting things of his parents to purchase, because at that time we were technically underage. Which, that's a story that you'll hear from damn near anybody. But anyways, so that's where it started, was with Boston Lager. After that, for the first few years of being a craft beer drinker, my favorite was actually an international beer. A beer called Golden Pheasant, uh, which is a Czech-style Pilsner. It comes in a green can, or a green bottle, but it still actually tasted pretty good. I wish I could still get it, but it was an uncle of mine that was going over to Europe. I'd love to go with him. I am not rich enough to do that, though. But he used to bring it back, and I enjoyed having that when I'd go over to his place. And since IPAs are all the rave, and I have a neat little story about IPAs and my past in venturing into craft beer. The first, I want to say, 5 IPAs I had, I hated it. Um, couldn't stand IPAs at the time. The bitterness was just too much for me. At that time, I didn't have anyone to suggest things or, introduce me to things that would lead me into, like, IPAs or bigger things. I was trying Belgian strong ales, imperial stouts well before I ever should have. I had Goose Island Bourbon County Stout way before that was any of my business to have. But anyways, the first one I had that I liked, I did not have any idea it was an IPA. That was Sierra Nevada's Celebration Ale. I was under the impression it was going to be a winter warmer when I had it. And from that first sip, I knew obviously it was not a winter warmer. But I actually really enjoyed it. Afterwards, I looked it up and was surprised to find it was an IPA. But since then, I've loved IPAs. I have not I mean, I've had some I didn't like, but for general, the style, I've enjoyed it. Uh, as far as rating beers, I've only really used Untapped. I used Beer Advocates when it was the big thing, but it doesn't have a mobile app, and I only have a mobile phone for getting on the internet. So it is all I've really used in the last number of years. According to Untapped, I have had 788 different beers. That's at least what I've rated on there. There's things I probably have forgotten I had. Uh, I try to avoid buying bottled beer. I try to go for cans if at all possible. If it is not possible, I will go with bottle, because it's not that big of a deal. But it's just a personal preference for me to go with cans over bottles. I just like them better, and I think they are better for beer. My favorite styles. The ones that have my heart are stouts and imperial stouts, English bitters, and English milds, which I really wish got more attention here in the States. Milds, I've only had one or two styles of the examples of the style. Bitters, same thing. I've only had a few examples of the style, and it's always extra special bitters. I've never had a regular bitter. Sours also have my heart. That's probably the one I would generally say is my favorite style. I also really love winter warmers, Rochbers. It's just something about the smoked beers that are so enjoyable to me. And Schwarzbier. I think it actually has a lot more depth and character than a lager has any business having. Not that there's anything wrong with lagers. I do enjoy a lot of lagers. So my favorite breweries. For where I am from Omaha, Nebraska. We have a lot more breweries than you'd probably think. If I had to guess, just in Omaha, we probably have 15 to 20 breweries. I haven't counted, and I probably should have before this video. But just to give you perspective, my absolute favorite local brewery is one by the name of Brickway Brewing. They are actually a brewery and distillery. The owner of it started another company here in Omaha before this one, called Lucky Bucket. At the time, we had a law that said you could not brew beer and distill hard alcohol in the same facility. I don't know what happened with him at Lucky Bucket, but he left there. They have a separate facility at Lucky Bucket for their distilling, but he ended up getting a place downtown here in Omaha and opened up Brickway, and I am very thankful for that, because as much as I enjoyed Lucky Bucket while he owned it, Brickway is even vastly better than that. Boiler Brewing, I have to put on this list of my favorite local breweries just because of a particular beer called Jitter. It's a imperial stout brewed with the most coffee I've ever had in my life in a beer. And he's probably more entertaining than I am. And I am a sucker for coffee in a stout. It's the only one I've had from them. I really wish I could actually go out and purchase it. I have not been to their brewery, which is the only way to get their beer. Their beer is not outside the brewery. You have to go there to get it. Same thing with this next one, actually. I've only ever had one beer from them. They are called Cross Strain Brewing. The one I had from them is Fairy Nectar IPA. The reason they're on this list is because, no, IPAs are not one of my favorite styles. But in a market oversaturated vastly with IPAs, in my opinion, a hophead is not going to think the same thing. But in my opinion, it is very much oversaturated with IPAs. I really wish there was more of all these different styles out, but every brewery seems to have at least one. Most have like 4 or 5 different IPAs. Fairy Nectar is in my top 5, maybe my top 3 IPAs I have ever had. With that coffee stout, same thing. As far as coffee stouts go, that was actually the best one I have ever had in my life. I loved it so much. Zipline Brewing, just like Brickway, their whole year-round series of beers are just incredible to me. So more regional, and to me, regional, anything within like a 10-hour radius of me is what I'm going to consider regional, regardless of whether they're national or even overseas. Surly Brewing tops this list. I have never had a beer I did not love from Surly Brewing. Not only that, they have Coffee Bender. I've already discussed why I would love that. Founders Brewing is on there for obvious reasons as well. They have the Breakfast Stout and the Kentucky Breakfast Stout. I'd love to have the Canadian Breakfast Stout. But Boulder Brewing is also on here. I love their dry hopped IPA so much. New Belgium Brewing is on here because of their sours. They have the most incredible sours I have ever had. 2 of theirs rank as my top favorite sours. La Folie ranks as my favorite. La Terre ranks probably as my second favorite, and I love that it's bitter as well. Fun fact, I hate Fat Tire. I cannot drink Fat Tire. I was able to for the first few years of being a beer drinker, but I cannot drink it anymore. As far as more national brands that are way away from me, Stone Brewing tops this list. I absolutely love them. I have never had a beer from them I did not like. I've had very interesting beers from them and still loved them. Dogfish Head Brewing is way up on this list as well. Their 60-minute is incredible. Their 90-minute is incredible. We'll probably get into this at some point down the line, but I am not big on 120 at least fresh. It does say obviously to age it, so we'll see. I have 3 aging, so we will find out. I will review that. The last one on this list is Deschutes Brewing. Their beers are amazing as well. Black Buck Porter is really good. The Abyss is a really good beer, although as one of those really rare sought after beers, it just to me does not hold up. Their stout, I forget the name offhand, but I absolutely love that one. As far as what I want to achieve with this channel, I just want to share amazing beers with you all. Spread awareness of breweries and beers, hopefully. Enjoy new beers myself. And hopefully help anyone on the fence about making a purchase of a particular beer. Maybe one day enjoy beers that you guys send to me that I would otherwise not have access to. And those are the main things I want to get out of this channel. Monetary is really irrelevant to me. I drink the beer anyways, and I rate the beer. I want to do more. I don't like just writing down what I enjoyed about a beer, so I kept thinking blogs or vlogs would be a great idea for that. As far as me personally, I am big into dinosaurs. Musically, I love metal music, and my favorite, though, what has my heart, is blues rock. I have 4 cats that have all seemed to pass out. They were all playing around when I started this video. We will, I'm sure, meet all of them. You met the youngest one already. We'll get into more as time goes on.